Slay 17.
Slay 17. I was just thinking, it's like, hey, we're getting ahead on slays. It's like, not really, not yet. Not yet, we're not.
Today's the 17th, and it's Slay 17.
This is Slay 17.
For the 31 Slays of October on the Chase and Shep YouTube channel and everywhere else that you want to stream this at. You can follow us on Facebook and on YouTube, and go to our website. It's strolling at the bottom, just going in circles for you.
ChaseandShep.com.
You can find us on Spotify, all over the place.
Right. We're just going to do this show in reverse and just close it out. Peace.
Smooches and deuces. My name is Johnny Cash. Welcome to the show. Smooches and introductions. My name is Johnny Cash. Welcome to Slay 17, October 17th, 2021. I hope you're having a good October. We're days away from a full moon. I can feel the energy. After tomorrow, Mercury will be out of retrograde, so I'm sure the world will rejoice on that.
Yeah,
so
a lot of us need that.
A couple days ago, I took control back and went in retrograde myself, so I'm feeling pretty good.
That's what's up.
Pretty great. Yeah,
that's what's up. Mm-hmm. Sometimes you just got to retro upgrade. You know.
Sometimes you just got to take things on yourself and become the captain. So
I am the captain now.
Last night I decided to talk with a New York accent for a while. I bet we were annoying the fuck out of everybody we were around.
I heard that actually.
There's a little snippet on Snapchat, and
there was.
That was just a little taste of what everybody got. Like we was going in, and I don't even know how this all. I know how it kind of started. It's because I was drunk, and this other buddy, he was beyond drunk. And we were sitting down at this table at the bar, and I was to the point where I was like, I'm just going to drink beer or something. I don't know. So they gave me a Bud Light, and they're like, what do you want? And I was like, Bud Light, like the commercials or somewhere in my life I've heard people do. So it was like, Bud Light. And we just kept doing that. And then I don't know how that transitioned into New York accents, but we just
rolled with it.
We was doing all kinds of because we would all like remember like something that would make us all laugh, and we'd be like, yeah, like it's something like, hey ma, don't make me tell ma, and then we all laugh like, yeah, that's right. They do say stuff like that.
Oh, shouts out to our viewers in New York. Slay
for you. Slay 17.
Speaking of accents, I know we already talked on the first Scream movie, but that inspired me to watch the next 3 installments.
Yeah.
With the new one coming out soon, they dropped the trailer for the new one since we reviewed the first one. So I watched all of that. Watch all of those. And I gotta say, man, watching Scream and Halloween so close together, like the OG Halloween, I really feel like Scream is like my favorite slasher. Like, and Ghostface as a killer is just like, it's just really something else, like compared to everything else. And upon second viewing, because I know during our review of Scream 4 was brought up, and you were like, yeah, and I was like, oh, what are you talking about? Scream? I remember digging Scream 4. Yeah, on that rewatch, I was like, I don't know. They just made a lot of questionable decisions. Like, it's like I feel like this series should be more like 4 genuinely felt like a parody of the Scream franchise. Like 4 felt more like a Scary Movie than it did Scream. And like what, I don't know what the fuck was up with that cinematography. I mean, it's 2011, and like the way it's all shot, and it's like blown out in all these parts, and like all like bright and shit, and it's like it looks weird, dude. I'm like, why did they choose to do this? Like, it made sense when it was like the movie within a movie thing, but then like when it was just the movie, I'm like, oh, they're still doing this. Like, sheesh. Yeah, was not my favorite of the bunch.
Yeah, that's my least favorite. I think, like, for me, like, personally, I always thought it went in order, like...
Yeah, oh, definitely.
the first Scream being my most favorite. I liked the sequel. I thought
Mhm,
that it was a solid follow up to that.
mhm.
And then the third one was like,
Yeah, it was all right.
it's all right, but like to me, it was just like
It was a little sillier. It was a little like,
to me, it was like, can we move on from the original people? You know what I'm saying? At that
I
point,
feel you.
where I was like viewing these movies at, it was like I get it, but does it always have to keep tying back to Sydney? You know what
Mhm,
I mean? And shit like that. And like, I don't know. Again, with the new one about to drop, it looks like, with all these newer movies, like, the new Halloween franchise coming back and stuff, and how they're just
mhm.
taking these characters instead of trying to reboot it or anything, it's like, fuck it. These people are old. Let's
Yeah.
have it be this long since that's happened, and it's
Mhm,
happening again, and it's one of those things that, like the new one is like, okay, it kind of makes sense. Like they
mhm.
kind of get all these people in the same place at the same time, so he can be like, I'm
Yeah.
killing y'all. I'm gonna kill y'all now.
And I'm sure there's more to it. I was a little underwhelmed by the trailer because, like, yeah, it was cool, but like, I just watched these all four Scream movies back to back to back, and it's like there is nothing new here in this trailer that I have not seen already. Like all week
No, but
watching
a
these
lot a
movies.
lot of people are theorizing, like, with that
Oh,
trailer, the big
oh, I'm
part
sure
being
there's
like
some
from
crazy.
like a stab movie.
Uh huh.
uh like, so
Oh
it's like
yeah,
not even gonna mean shit when it comes to
hmm
being like in the actual movie. That's why they
yeah,
showed so much of that first, like, what everybody's like, that's probably the opening scene to the movie type thing.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah,
Which
I'm sure there's going to be twists and turns. I'm sure there's going to be surprises. You know, that's why I'm not mad about it. Like the trailer, I think it's a good trailer. I just wasn't like, wow, like this new Scream movie. Like, how about it? Like, I feel like they're being real low key about it, and I appreciate that. But like, if I go see the movie and the movie's just like a whole bunch of nothing new, which I would genuinely be surprised if that's the case. Because I don't think
Well, to
it
me,
will
it's
be.
like, if they want to reboot the franchise, like, to a new audience type thing,
Hmm.
like, to me, I would just have it, have the and this might be a route that they go. Like, I don't know shit about, where they're going with this new Scream, but, bring back that old cast and have it to where
Yeah,
everybody dies. Every
I was
all
gonna
all of
say.
them die in it. Where this new cast lives, most of them lives, and they're all in the
Mhm.
sequel. And maybe one of them goes
Yeah.
crazy or something and wants to be the killer in the sequel.
My theory, Dewey is definitely not gonna make it out of Scream 5. Dewey is most definitely not gonna walk out of that movie alive.
Like I said,
Like,
I think it would make sense for their characters if they, Dewey probably die, and then
mhm,
have Sydney be the one that kills the killer at
mhm.
the end, but they both die when she
Yeah,
kills them
yeah,
or
yeah,
some
yeah,
shit
yeah. Right.
type thing.
I feel ya. And honestly, I wouldn't even be mad if the killer was, Matthew Lillard. I wouldn't be mad about it at all.
I mean, I wouldn't either. To me, it would make sense to bring him
Yeah.
back from the original, because it's like, yeah, drop the
And that's
TV,
totally because
drop
if
the
you're if
TV on his head, and those
right,
big
yeah.
box TVs were pretty fucking heavy back in the day.
Yeah. Oh.
But
If we're
we
talking
could.
Scream rules, they always go off the rules of like the times, and just going off of the times, like with Halloween Kills, just talking about that yesterday. It's like uh, those are the times, like with the older characters, and sometimes killing off the mains to make room for the new blood and shit. Like it could be. You got to think. You're in a Randy. The rules. There's rules to this shit.
Yeah, who knows, man? I hope they dig up a tape from him and bring him back in the new one somehow or some shit.
Right, they should. I did. I at least watched Jamie Kennedy react to the new Scream trailer on YouTube. Like, so a little bit of Randy, I guess.
Nah,
He looked
always,
baked out of his
always a
mind.
great, yeah, always a great watch, especially
Yeah.
around Halloween.
Oh, definitely.
What's your favorite scary movie? Slay
Yeah.
17. I'm going in a different route. A movie that I always try to watch every Halloween time, every October and whatnot. That just I love, and that's The Crow.
Ooh, I've never seen The Crow.
You've never watched The Crow?
Mm-mm.
Wow.
Yeah.
Well, like I think that that's one that you should definitely check out because for me it's like it was that old 90s comic book movie that just like you just I like I don't know. When I first watched it as a kid, I thought I was just like, "Damn, this was dope as fuck!" Like, wait a second, like, because like the whole gist with the crows, like like in the comic books and in the movie was like, dude and his girlfriend they get murdered on Devil's Night, the night before Halloween,
Hmm.
and it was and they were innocent people. They were just in their apartment. These guys are just going around and so they do that, and it's like this crow sees that shit, and whatnot, and it's like a year later, the guy comes back from the dead, and he gets his time back on Earth to get his revenge, to seek his revenge on the people that killed him and his wife, soon to be wife, because they're about to get married and shit
Word.
like that. And he possesses like supernatural esque power due to
Hmm.
this crow, and like the with the comic books, and they kind of try to do with the movies, because the sequels weren't that good, but it's
Hmm.
more so like the crow as a figure. So like when the sequels come, it's not going to be the same dude as the first one, being the crow. The crow would find another innocent person who got murdered and be like, I'll let you get your revenge and shit like that. But
Right.
what makes the crow like the original crow movie, I'd like to say right now they're making a reboot for it.
I believe so.
But what makes the original so dope, it starred Brandon Lee, Bruce Lee's
Hmm.
son, and that tragically is the movie that he died while filming in, because a bullet, like they had blanks and something happened to where when they fired a blank, something actually fired out of it and shot him and killed him.
Yeah.
So that was like a big thing at the time, in my opinion. There's some weird shots within the movie because I know there's a scene where they filmed it after he passed away, so they kind of like started CGI his face onto the guy. They had stand in for him. You can kind of tell, but he's wearing the crow face paint, so it's not too bad. But like, yeah, I don't know, man. Like I said, when I seen that shit as a kid, it was right around the time in wrestling when the character Sting started painting his face almost identical to how the crow looked as well, and carrying a big black raven and shit. He was probably obviously playing into that, but with his character
Hmm.
within wrestling, it worked great because he was like the face of that company, and always was like yelling and hype and all this shit. And when Hulk Hogan and the NWO took over, he decided to like take a vow of silence basically, and he didn't talk for like an entire year. He just show up in the rafters dressed like that and just
Damn.
stare. Yeah, no, and it was dope. Like as a kid, I thought, yo, this is fucking lit. Like, damn. So The Crow's always been just one of those movies. I got to watch it. I watch it throughout the year, but especially in October because it just plays off those Halloween vibes of like Devil's Night, I believe, up in like Detroit. So it's always crazy on Devil's Night up there, and
Hmm.
all the Detroit fires and shit back then that they would always talk about. And, it really plays into that. And I just, like I said, I just think for the time period and whatnot that it was a very solid movie. It's so quotable and shit like that. You see, yeah, I bet you probably see people quoting it all the time
Oh, I'm
since you
sure.
haven't seen it.
I know it's
One
a
of
big one.
Yeah,
Like I
one of
know a
its
lot of
biggest
people know
quotes that I know is they always, there's a line because there's like a little girl that her mom's like a drug addict and stuff. So she was like looked after by these people who pass away. And so when the main character comes back as the crow, he sees her and talks to her and shit like that. And the way that she knows it's him is because she kind of sees him and he's off in she's off in the street or something. And he's like, it can't rain all the time. And that was like something he always said because it's like pouring down rain. And I see people like quote that shit on Facebook all the time.
about.
It can't rain all the time. And
Right.
it's like that.
They probably think it's some cute coffee shop shit and have no idea it's the crow.
I mean, like I said though, I still think that it's a solid movie for its
For
time
sure.
and like the shit it deals with. I'm hyped to see a reboot. I hope they do it well. Like I'd like to say the first sequel was like okay. It wasn't great, but it was like okay. And I think it was more so just because people didn't understand the concept of the character of the crow and how like it's more this crow bouncing person to person, and they
Hmm.
looked at it as well. Brandon Lee passed away, so they had to replace him, and that's who
Right.
this new person is. And it's like, nah, that's not it. And I
I
think
feel you.
the ones after that were just straight trash. So I'd like to say, like I said, I'd like to say the second one was it wasn't bad. I remember watching that as a kid and being like, this one's all right. It's pretty good.
Hell yeah.
But yeah, the crow definitely one. Chase, you should check it out. Anybody else, if you
I
ain't
will.
seen it, should definitely check it out. He's a hell of a person to dress up as for Halloween. One of our new songs that me and Humbly G had put out the other day, I feel like is very, to me it reminds me of that because there's like a scene of him where he's like, because he's like in like a band and he's playing like a guitar up on the rooftops and shit like that, just letting his guitar wail and just
Hmm.
go out in one of our songs. There's like a guitar that kind of like does that in the back, and I just always think of that scene. So dope ass movie.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Slay 17, getting your 90s fix on uh, with all the screams and the crow. Hell yeah. That'll do it. Peace.